Have you ever had that strange feeling of walking into a room and completely forgetting what you went there to do? Or perhaps you've noticed it's taking longer to remember names of people you've known for years. Many people think this is just a normal part of aging, but what if I told you it could be a sign that your brain is aging faster than your body? Today, I'll reveal the 7 signs neurologists use to identify accelerated brain aging. And most importantly, I'll show you how to reverse the 4th sign, which is the most dangerous one, but fortunately also the most reversible. If you're enjoying this content, don't forget to like this video, share it with your loved ones, and subscribe to the channel to receive more information that could transform your brain health. Also activate the notification bell to be notified whenever we publish a new video. Before we dive into the signs, you need to understand something fascinating. Your brain and your body can age at completely different rates. Researchers from Columbia University discovered that brain age can differ by up to 20 years from chronological age. This means a 60-year-old person might have a brain functioning like someone who's 40, or unfortunately, like someone who's 80. Dr. Richard Restak, neurologist and author of more than 20 books about the brain, explains, brain aging is not determined by calendar years, but by a complex interaction between genetics, lifestyle, and environmental exposure. And most importantly, many aspects of this process can be slowed down or even reversed. Let's look at the 7 signs indicating your brain might be prematurely aging. The first sign is decreased mental processing speed. Do you notice it's taking longer to understand jokes? Or that you need to ask people to repeat instructions? This happens because neural connections begin to lose their myelin coating, a fatty substance that functions like the insulation on electrical wires, allowing signals to travel quickly. When myelin degrades, information transmission slows down. A University of Michigan study showed that processing speed naturally begins to decline around age 45, but in people with accelerated brain aging, this slowdown can be noticed as early as age 35. Most concerning is that this slowness doesn't just affect the ability to solve complex problems, but also everyday tasks like driving or maintaining a fluid conversation. The second sign is increasing difficulty learning new skills. Have you caught yourself saying, "I'm too old to learn this"? This resistance might be a sign that your brain is losing neuroplasticity, the ability to form new connections and adapt. Dr. Michael Merzenich, a pioneer in neuroplasticity research, states, "A healthy brain maintains the ability to remodel and adapt throughout life. When this ability drastically decreases, it's a warning sign." In his studies, he demonstrated that people with accelerated brain aging show a reduction of up to 60% in the ability to form new neural connections compared to their peers of the same age. The third sign is altered sleep patterns. Do you have difficulty falling asleep? Do you wake up several times during the night? Or perhaps you can no longer get that deep, restorative sleep. Changes in sleep aren't just consequences of brain aging, they're also causes. During deep sleep, the brain activates its cleaning system, known as the glymphatic system. It's like a nighttime cleaning crew that removes toxic proteins and metabolic waste. When sleep is fragmented or shallow, this cleaning is compromised, accelerating brain aging. A University of California, Berkeley study found that adults with poor sleep quality accumulate up to 40% more beta-amyloid, a protein associated with Alzheimer's, than those with adequate sleep. Sleep is not a luxury for the brain, it's an absolute necessity, explains Dr. Matthew Walker, neuroscientist and sleep expert. The fourth sign, and here's the most dangerous but also most reversible one, is chronic brain inflammation. Unlike acute inflammation that you feel when you hurt a finger, brain inflammation is silent, persistent, and devastating. This low-grade inflammation, which scientists call neuroinflammation, is like a slow fire gradually damaging brain cells. The scariest part is that you don't feel pain, because the brain doesn't have its own pain receptors. So this destructive process can continue for years without you noticing. Dr. Candace Pert, a neuroscientist who revolutionized our understanding of the mind-body connection, discovered that neuroinflammation affects not just cognition, but also mood and motivation. It's as if the brain is constantly in an alert state, diverting energy from cognition and emotional well-being to combat an invisible threat, she explains. The fifth sign is reduced sustained attention capacity. Do you get distracted more easily now? Do you have difficulty concentrating on a book or movie for long periods? This ability to maintain focus is primarily controlled by the prefrontal cortex, one of the first regions affected by accelerated brain aging. A fascinating Stanford University study compared sustained attention capacity in adults of different ages. They discovered that it's not age itself that determines decline, but brain health. 70-year-old participants with healthy brains consistently outperformed 50-year-old adults with signs of accelerated brain aging. The sixth sign is decreased stress resilience. Do you feel more easily overwhelmed by situations you used to handle without problems? This happens because the hippocampus, a crucial brain region for memory and stress regulation, is particularly vulnerable to accelerated aging. When the hippocampus is compromised, the brain loses the ability to properly regulate cortisol, the stress hormone. This creates a vicious cycle. More stress causes more damage to the hippocampus, which in turn becomes less capable of regulating stress. The seventh sign is altered taste and smell. Have you noticed that foods don't taste the same anymore? Or that you can no longer detect subtle odors? Many people don't know this, but these sensory changes are often early signs of accelerated brain aging. Dr. Richard Doty, director of the University of Pennsylvania's Smell and Taste Center, explains, "The neurons that process smells are some of the few that regenerate throughout life. When this regeneration decreases, it's a sign that other regenerative processes in the brain may also be compromised." Now, let's focus on the fourth sign, chronic brain inflammation, and how to reverse it. Why this particular sign? Because recent research shows that neuroinflammation is a common denominator in virtually all neurodegenerative disorders, and also because we now have proven strategies to combat it. The first thing you need to understand is that brain inflammation has different causes than inflammation in the rest of the body. The brain has its own immune system, composed mainly of cells called microglia. When chronically activated, these cells begin to attack not just threats, but also healthy neurons. What are the main triggers of this brain inflammation? Harvard University researchers identified 5 main factors: inflammatory diet, rich in refined sugars and trans fats, sleep disorders, chronic stress, sedentary lifestyle, and exposure to environmental toxins. The good news is that we can intervene in each of these factors. Let's start with the most powerful strategy: anti-inflammatory dietary transformation. A groundbreaking study from Rush University in Chicago followed more than 900 elderly people for 4.5 years. Those who strictly followed the MIND diet, Mediterranean-intervention for neurodegenerative delay, showed a 53% reduction in the risk of accelerated cognitive decline. This diet emphasizes specific foods with anti-inflammatory properties for the brain: dark leafy greens, red and purple fruits, omega-3 rich fish, nuts, and extra virgin olive oil. But the most interesting part is that it's not just what you add, but also what you eliminate that makes the difference. Dr. Dale Bredesen, neurologist and author of the RECODE protocol for reversing cognitive decline, identified that eliminating refined sugars can reduce brain inflammation markers by up to 40% in just 3 weeks. It's like taking your foot off the inflammation accelerator, he explains. The second strategy involves what I call smart exercise for the brain. Not just any physical activity reduces neuroinflammation. University of Illinois researchers discovered that moderate-intensity aerobic exercises, those that raise your heart rate but still allow you to maintain a conversation, are most effective at reducing inflammatory markers in the brain. Most surprising is how quickly this works. A study published in the Journal of Neuroscience showed that just 20 minutes of brisk walking significantly reduces inflammatory microglia activity. It's as if exercise sends an immediate signal to the brain's immune cells. Calm down, everything's fine. The third strategy is sleep optimization. As I mentioned earlier, sleep is when the brain's cleaning system kicks into action. But it's not just the amount of sleep that matters, it's the quality. Specifically, the amount of slow wave or deep sleep you get. A fascinating University of Wisconsin-Madison study used advanced neuroimaging techniques to observe the brain during sleep. They discovered that during deep sleep, the brain experiences up to a 60% reduction in volume, creating space for cerebrospinal fluid to flow more freely and wash away toxins. To increase your deep sleep, try these 3 proven techniques. Keep your bedroom completely dark and cool, between 64 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit or 18 to 20 degrees Celsius. Avoid screens at least 1 hour before bedtime, and maintain a consistent schedule for sleeping and waking, even on weekends. The fourth strategy is stress management through specific contemplative practices. Not all meditation techniques are equally effective against neuroinflammation. Carnegie Mellon University researchers discovered that practices focusing on breathing and body awareness are particularly effective at reducing inflammatory markers. A specific technique, called body scanning, proved especially powerful. In this practice, you systematically direct your attention to different parts of the body, relaxing each area. A study with older adults showed that just 30 minutes daily of this practice for 8 weeks reduced brain inflammation markers by 31%. The fifth strategy involves specific supplements with anti-inflammatory properties for the brain. 3 stand out for their strong scientific support: curcumin, the active compound in turmeric, resveratrol, found in red grapes, and high-potency omega-3 DHA. Curcumin deserves special attention. A UCLA study showed that this compound not only reduces brain inflammation, but also helps dissolve amyloid plaques associated with Alzheimer's. The challenge is that curcumin is poorly absorbed by the body. Therefore, look for formulas that include piperine, black pepper extract, or nanoparticle technology, which increase bioavailability by up to 2,000%. The sixth strategy is brain detoxification from heavy metals. Metals like mercury, lead, and aluminum are potent triggers of neuroinflammation, and unfortunately, they're more present in our environment than we'd like. Dr. David Perlmutter, neurologist and author of Grain Brain, recommends specific tests to detect the presence of these metals and, if necessary, chelation protocols supervised by professionals. But even without tests, we can adopt practices that help the body naturally eliminate these metals, such as regular consumption of sulfur-rich foods, garlic, onions, cruciferous vegetables, and algae like chlorella. The seventh and final strategy is intermittent fasting adapted for brain health. Fasting triggers a process called autophagy, where cells eliminate damaged components, including inflammatory proteins in the brain. A University of Southern California study showed that 12 to 16-hour fasting cycles significantly reduce inflammatory markers and increase production of BDNF, a crucial protein for forming new neurons. The most interesting part is that you don't need to fast every day to get benefits. Even 2 days per week of time-restricted feeding, limiting food intake to an 8 to 10-hour window, showed significant results. Now, let's talk about how to combine these strategies into a practical 21-day protocol to reverse brain inflammation. Why 21 days? Because studies show this is the minimum time needed to observe measurable changes in brain inflammation markers. In the first week, focus on eliminating the main inflammatory triggers from your diet: refined sugars, processed vegetable oils, and high glycemic index foods. At the same time, start a daily routine of 20 minutes of brisk walking and practice body scanning for 10 minutes before bed. In the second week, add specific anti-inflammatory foods. berries at breakfast, a daily portion of dark leafy greens, and fatty fish twice a week. Increase your walk to 30 minutes and try 12-hour overnight fasting. For example, not eating anything between dinner at 7 p.m. and breakfast at 7 a.m. In the third week, consider adding the supplements mentioned earlier. Optimize your sleep environment to maximize deep sleep, and extend your overnight fasting to 14 to 16 hours twice a week. The results of this 21-day protocol can be remarkable. Participants in a pilot study at Stanford University reported significant improvement in mental clarity, short-term memory, and concentration ability. Even more impressive, blood tests showed an average reduction of 47% in specific inflammatory markers associated with brain health. Maria, a 68-year-old participant, shared, "In the first week, I didn't notice much difference. In the second week, I began to notice I was remembering names more easily. By the end of the third week, my family commented that I seemed more alert and engaged in conversations. It's as if a mental fog had dissipated." Carlos, 74, reported, "I had resigned myself to accepting that my memory would only get worse with age. After following this protocol, I not only stopped getting worse, but I actually improved. Now I can remember where I left my keys, remember appointments without having to write everything down, and I even went back to playing chess, something I had abandoned because I couldn't plan several moves ahead anymore." It's important to remember that brain inflammation doesn't start overnight, and reversing it also takes time. The 21-day protocol is just the beginning. For lasting benefits, many of these changes need to become part of your lifestyle. The most empowering thing about all this is that, unlike what many believe, cognitive decline is not an inevitable part of aging. As Dr. Bredesen says, age-related cognitive decline is actually a treatable condition, and in many cases, reversible. So, if you've identified some of the 7 signs that your brain might be aging faster than your body, especially the 4th sign, chronic brain inflammation, know that you have the power to change that trajectory. With the strategies I've shared today, you can not only slow down brain aging but potentially reverse it. Your brain is incredibly resilient and has a remarkable ability to regenerate when we give it what it needs. As Dr. Lisa Mosconi, neuroscientist and author, says, "The brain you have today is not necessarily the brain you'll have tomorrow. Each day is an opportunity to build a better brain. Start today with one small change, maybe a 20-minute walk, or eliminating refined sugars, or practicing body scanning before bed. Small, consistent steps lead to big transformations in your brain health. And remember, it's never too late to give your brain a second youth." If this video was helpful to you, don't forget to leave your like, share it with people you care about, and subscribe to the channel to receive more content like this. Activate the notification bell to be notified about our upcoming videos. Tell us in the comments which of the 7 signs you identified in yourself or someone close to you. Your experience might help other people. Until the next video.